Instant match reaction, Everton 3, Salford City 0 at Goodison Park. Everton are through to the third round of the Carabao Cup after defeating Salford tonight. Listen, a professional performance by Everton, job done. At the end of the day, it wasn't the most entertaining game throughout. It wasn't the best game of football we've seen. Certainly not the best game of football we've seen this season. But we got the job done ultimately, and that's all that matters. You know, Carlo Ancelotti made 10 changes to the side that beat Spurs on Sunday in the opening game of the Premier League season. Michael Keane being the only player that kept his place. Young João Virginia coming in goal. Niles Nkounkou coming in at left back. John Joe Kenny at right back. Jared Branthwaite coming in. You have Bernard, Tom Davies, Gylfi Sigurdsson, Theo Walcott in there, Anthony Gordon, Moise Kean, all starting. So a completely different side to the one that beat Spurs on Sunday. And we spoke about, you know, how Carlo Ancelotti may do that, or he may stick with some first teamers and then look to bring them off, you know, if we're winning the game comfortably towards the end of it. But he didn't. He went with the, you know, a completely different squad, and he put trust and faith in those players that realistically should be knocking on the door of Carlo Ancelotti in terms of being able to, you know, break into that first team and at least ask the questions. But, you know, listen, like I said, it wasn't the best game of football, but we got the job done. Goals from Moise Kean scoring a penalty towards the back end of the game. Gylfi Sigurdsson getting the second, and my head's gone out. Michael Keane, it was fantastic header by Michael Keane with the first opening goal of the game, and that come quite early into the game, to be perfectly honest with you. We started strong, we were comfortable for pretty much the entirety of the game. There was little 2-minute, 5-minute spells here and there where Salford sort of put their foot on the ball and played a little bit and created a couple of half chances, but for the majority of the game we were comfortable. We were putting the ball foot on the ball, we were controlling it. You had Bernard playing in this sort of open midfield role, something that we haven't seen a lot of Bernard play for Everton. He played in a similar role in the last pre-season game against Preston a couple of weeks ago. Sort of like a number 10, but floating around the midfield. Played really, really well, certainly in the first half. Tailed off towards the back end of the second half, but had a really, really good first half. And like I said, we were comfortable. Obviously, we get the goal quite early on. Fantastic ball in by Gylfi Sigurdsson. Good corner after fantastic play by Niles Nkounkou down that left-hand side. Good corner comes in, and Michael Keane heads in. An absolutely fantastic header, really, really strong header. Reminded me a little bit of Dominic Calvert-Lewin's on Sunday against Spurs. Really, really strong header. We go 1-0 up, and you're sort of thinking, right, okay, that's the first one now. Let's get another couple before half-time. Let's go on and just kill the game off completely and go and have a little bit of a field day. But it wasn't the case from that point on. Again, we were creating the odd chance here and there. We must have hit the post or the woodwork about 400 times in the game. But from that point on, we just sort of, again, we were just in the game, really. There wasn't much to it. It was professional, like I said. We were never under any massive amounts of pressure. But we didn't go out and kill it off like you probably would have wanted to. But understandably, this is a side that will put together of players that didn't feature on Sunday. Of course, probably the second side, if you would like. And, you know, like I said, Bernard done okay in the first half, sort of tailed off towards the second half. Massively impressed with Niles Nkounkou. Niles Nkounkou for me was man of the match. How he didn't get man of the match, or he wasn't even in the conversation on Sky, is absolutely beyond me. Don't get me wrong. I think Gylfi Sigurdsson got it in the end, a goal and an assist, and done quite well. I thought Gylfi, to be honest. I know a lot of people won't think that, but he was asked to do a little. He was asked to sit a little bit deep. He played almost like the Allen role, if you like, in that first half, and then he sort of pushed a little bit forward towards the second half and got the second goal. But Niles Nkounkou for me was absolutely outstanding. He was, again, you know, it's difficult for Niles Nkounkou because he's playing in a position that's pretty much solidified by Luca Dean, who had to come on, you know, in the first half, halfway through the first half, due to an injury to Jared Branthwaite, which we'll talk about in a second. But Niles Nkounkou for me was absolutely fantastic. Getting down that left-hand side, creating opportunities constantly, beating his man, putting the crosses in. He must have put about 10, 15 crosses into the box, which should have been met by Moise Kean or Theo Walcott or anybody coming in. But unfortunately, a lot of them weren't, and they were allowed to just, you know, run. But he really, really impressed me, as did Anthony Gordon. I thought Anthony Gordon had a top game today. Very, very unlucky not to score it in the post in the last sort of 2 or 3 minutes. Looked a little bit frustrated with himself, but I thought he was very, very good. And out of the entire squad of the entire team of players that played, I think Anthony Gordon and Niles Nkounkou, potentially with Bernard as well, are probably the only ones that Carlo Ancelotti will have looked at today and gone, you know what, I can see you as being challenging in the first team. John Joe Kenny as well, probably because of Seamus Coleman's situation. But other than that, it wasn't the greatest performance, but it was job done, and that's all it needed to be. You know, ultimately we've sat here before the game and said you win 3-0, but it's not the best performance. You take it, don't you? We're into the next round. We play Fleetwood in the third round of the Carabao Cup, and hopefully we can go and put in a you know, a better performance but achieve a similar result, if not a better result. Like I said, Jared Branthwaite having to come off early on in the second half. Quite unlucky for Jared Branthwaite, really, picking up a knock. Looked quite sore, to be honest. He pulled up himself after, you know, he passed it back to João Virginia at one point, and I think he just fell awkwardly on his ankle, it looked like, or maybe his calf. But he had to be taken off, and Luca Dean had to come on and adopt the centre-back role. And listen, it's not ideal, is it? Let's be honest, because, you know, I've already got one injury in Mason Holgate at centre-back, so it's not ideal that another one of our young centre-backs with Premier League experience who could potentially fit in there has now gone off injured. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, and hopefully he'll be able to shake it off within the next coming days or so. Moise Keane, I think, is definitely worth a mention. Obviously, he got the goal, scored the penalty, you know, at the back end of the game, last 5 or 10 minutes. But other than that, I really wasn't impressed with Moise Keane today. And I don't want to make it a negative video, and I don't want to sit here and talk too much negativity, because we've just won 3-0 at home and we're into the next round of the Cup, which is all we could ask for. But he just really didn't impress me, considering he was probably the player that we all looked at, you know, this evening when the team news got put out, and thought, right, okay, I expect a good one from, expect a good performance from Anthony Gordon, expect a good performance from Bernard. But you looked at Moise Keane and thought, I expect a top performance from Moise Keane here. I expect him to absolutely run rings around these and make it a really difficult afternoon for Salford. But he just didn't. You know, I think within the first 10 or 15 minutes, he had a couple of chances where balls were coming into him and he just couldn't. His first touch was really poor. It let him down. And then after that, don't know whether his head went a little bit and his head dropped, or whether he just wasn't confident. But every time a ball come into him from that point on, certainly in the first half, he tried to let it run past them and then fall on the floor and try and win a foul, which was never going to happen. And then he was quiet pretty much throughout the entire game. Hit the woodwork a couple of times in the second half, which was very unlucky. One which he absolutely should have buried, point blank range header. Another one header which was again, it's down into the ground. Keeper makes a good save. Scored the penalty, of course, which hopefully gave him a little bit of a boost. Seemed to give him a boost towards the back end of the game. But overall, wasn't really impressed with Moise Keane today. He's probably the only one that I'd look at and go, You've not had a good game today at the very least. But like I said, there was you know, some really good performances in Kunku, Anthony Gordon. You could probably throw Bernard in there, and everybody else done the job. Are they going to be knocking on the door to start on Saturday? Probably not, because let's be honest, if that performance would have been put in a Premier League game, would have been looking at a you know, a tough afternoon. But it wasn't. It was put in against the League 2 opposition in the Cup, and we've won 3-0. So you take it, don't you? There you go. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section down below. We will have our player ratings up in a moment. Big thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. It only takes a second. Job done. 3-0, professional performance. On to the next round now against Fleetwood. And, you know, on to Saturday now against West Bromwich Albion. 2 games, 2 wins, 2 clean sheets for Carlo Ancelotti's Everton team on the opening couple of days of the season. Can't ask for much more, can you? Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.